Dr. Early says she won't be here.
We'll call to order the regular meeting of the Eastpointe Community Schools Board of Education, May 9th, 2022 at 6:32. Please call the roll.
Mr. Williams.
Here.
Ms. Rayford.
Here.
Dr. Early and Mr. Warder excused. Mr. Roscoe.
Here.
Mr. Krukenberg.
Here.
And Ms. DeVita here.
Would stand for the pledge. And lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dan. Is there a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Support? Support. Please call the vote.
Ms. Rayford.
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Krukenberg.
Yes.
And Ms. DeVita, yes.
Okay, next we have consent agenda. Is there a motion for consent agenda?
Place forth the motion for the consent agenda for today.
Support.
Please call the vote.
Mr. Roscoe.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Ms. Rayford.
Yes.
Mr. Krukenberg.
Yes.
And Ms. DeVita, yes.
Next we have superintendent's report. McLeod.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're going to begin. We have some of our new hires here today. Not necessarily new, but I'm going to turn it over right now to Mrs. Gibson, who will do some introductions for us.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you. This evening in our presence in the audience are Mrs. Zenith Jones, who you have just taken action to appoint as the principal of Eastpointe High School, and Ms. Stephanie Fleming, who will be assuming the role of the assistant superintendency. So we'd like to welcome those ladies here this evening.
And also, that's right, not new faces, but it's great to see them here. So, also, Mrs. Gibson is going to have our first presentation this evening. We have two presentations. One is an acceptance of a donation from the East Detroit Federation of Educator Scholarship Committee, and you're going to introduce that.
EFE President Lincoln Stocks is out doing double time, and he is attending a virtual meeting, and I was supposed to text message him so that he could come in.
He's walking in.
And he is walking in right on cue. So welcome, Mr. Stocks, EFE President. This October, Mr. Stocks approached the district and the curriculum office and said the EDFT Scholarship Committee would like to be more involved in supporting students while they are part of the district and learning. And so through many ongoing conversations with Mr. Stocks, as well as going and meeting with the EDFT Scholarship Committee, the EDF Scholarship Committee is comprised of 11 members. Many of the members of the committee would include Teresa Hing of the Eastpointe Credit Union, John DiDonato, former teacher with the district. We even have one current member, Eddie, and he's over at Bellevue, Crane, on the committee. And what the committee has traditionally done for the better part of, what, Mr. Stocks, about 20 years?
Well, it's actually been longer. I think the committee's been in nearly 30 years that they've been donating for scholarships at the graduate level.
So what they've been doing is raising money for seniors for, when they graduate, for them to go on to college. Well, the EDFT Scholarship Committee has had many, many very generous donations from former staff members, from community members, through all of their fundraising efforts. And they have invested upwards of $70,000 this year into Eastpointe Community Schools. And the purpose of the money from the committee was to help our students to recover lost learning from COVID. So on behalf of the district, I'd like to publicly thank the East Detroit Federation of Teachers Scholarship Committee for their dedication to our district and students. They have approved the purchase of literacy footprints kits for all of our teachers in the district. Every teacher will have a cadre of resources available to them to work at small group guided reading instruction. And we've had many teachers involved going and doing presentations with the EDFT Scholarship Committee. And we thought it was time to publicly thank them for their dedication to our school district and our community and the investment in our children. So thank you to the EDFT Scholarship Committee for their investment and the resources for our teachers and students.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Dr. McLeod.
Mr. Stocks, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Real quickly, I can't resist an opportunity to say
Aye.
something, but on behalf of the teachers and staff and the retirees involved in raising the money, we're so very pleased to be able to have the opportunity to share with more than just a senior class the hard work and dedication of the staff that's been here. And I can tell you that when they contacted me, their most significant issue was, what in the world are you all doing to help these kids that have lost so much opportunity to learn? And we help these seniors and we do some different things, but right now, we see so much need at the lower levels, and particularly in literacy. That was where they were really most concerned, probably because many of them are retired English teachers, but they were visibly concerned. I mean, really wringing their hands over what can we do about it. And it wasn't, we have an answer for you. It was, go to your teachers, what do they need, how can we help them, and we would be happy to do it. And then once they had some ideas, say, now come and tell us about it, because they actually changed some of their foundational purpose and bylaws in order to expand to this potential to be able to share with kids that were not graduates, because John knows how long we've been doing it. It's always their bylaws indicate, if you give money, it goes to the committee, and then there's a group that interviews seniors and they write letters and things like that to be able to get a scholarship. So it's actually been probably close to 40 years, because I think I got one of those when I graduated. So it's been quite some time that they've been doing it, and quite honestly, there is not a district anywhere in the state, even 5 times bigger than us, that has a scholarship committee that offers nearly $30,000 a year in scholarships. And so we're very proud and pleased to offer that, and excited to be able to share with the elementary schools that program. So thank you for your help and your assistance in getting it done and doing the legwork. It was probably something you didn't really have time to do, but I know that you worked really hard at coordinating it. And so thank you very much for the opportunity to share our wealth and our hopes for the recovery of our lost learning and stuff like that with the kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Lincoln, and thank you, Mrs. Gibson. Another presentation we have this evening, the board is familiar, and the community may also be aware. We have been having conversations for over a year now, I think, really talking about the potential of having a Boys and Girls Club in Eastpointe, and we obviously have some space for it, and so we've been talking about that as a possibility also. And so all of those conversations over a long period of time now are actually starting to come to fruition. And so previously, the Boys and Girls Club has come and presented to the board and the community about this idea of the Eastpointe Club. but we are inviting them back again this evening. We have a presentation. They're going to speak with the board. We do have a lease agreement and a memorandum of understanding that I've shared for the board to preview. That is not on the agenda for tonight because I wanted to make sure you had enough time to get your questions answered and feel comfortable supporting that as we move forward. So with that, we'll go ahead. We have two guests. Which of you is taking the lead tonight? Excellent. So if you want to come up and we'll just, the microphone there should be all right. You just have to make sure is there a little green light on the front of it?
I believe so.
Yeah, perfect.
There we go.
All right, just tell me when to advance, and if you can just begin by introducing your team, that would be great. And then
Sounds good. Good evening, and thanks for having me here today. My name is Chris Kiles. I'm the Executive Area Director with Boys and Girls Clubs. I've been with Boys and Girls Clubs for 22 years. This is Roderick Brown. Roderick Brown is our Senior Vice President of Strategy. He's been with us about 2 years, but he has a long history of knowledge and wealth. We're really excited to be here today. I'm really excited because not only am I a Boys and Girls Club, do I work with the Boys and Girls Clubs, but I'm also a resident of Eastpointe. So I think this is, I'm excited about the opportunity that we have for our community to do something really special with our youth. So we can move to the next slide. So our purpose of here tonight is to, speak with you all and ensure that you're comfortable moving forward with the Boys and Girls Clubs, moving into programming and moving into the alternative school. And like I said, they're doing something special for our youth in our community. We'll go through a little bit of Boys and Girls Clubs background and overview. We'll go through our guidepost review, and that guidepost really lets lets us know that the community wants us in the community and wants the Boys and Girls Club there. We'll talk about when we plan to launch our summer program, also our school year program, and then we'll talk about some things that we've done already, some pop-ups. Rod will go over the MOU and touch on some of the main points of the MOU, and then we'll talk about action items and next steps. So if you move to the So Boys and Girls Club mission is to enable its youth to become homeowner, startup, and career ready. That's our goal. That's what we want to do with each of our youth, and we want to have them to become economically mobile. And we'll show you how we do that in the next slide. Our vision is to inspire, educate, and empower youth while strengthening surrounding communities. And this past year, we've served over 21,000 youth in Wayne, Washtenaw, Macomb, and Oakland counties. And also, you'll see this is a little snapshot of our footprint so far. And even during COVID, when most organizations shut down, we in 2 days, we launched a virtual club, and we were serving youth virtually. So we are able, one of the things I love about Boys and Girls Club is we're nimble, and we're able to adjust to be able to serve our youth as best as we can. So we move to the next slide. So this is our ladder and our theory of change. As we stated, we reimagined Boys and Girls Clubs about 3 years ago. We reimagined, when Sean Wilson came on as our president and CEO, we looked at how we were doing things, and we decided that we had to reimagine our focus. And one of the things that we looked at and that we seen that a lot of our youth and families were living in poverty. So one of the things that we quickly aimed to attack was economic mobility and helping our youth and our families become economically mobile. So that's how we created our theory of change. So with our ladder, one, we want to make sure we're accessible. We want to make sure that we're accessible to the youth, both in person and virtually. We want to make sure that we're affordable. Our membership is only $50 for 1 year, but we don't turn any youth away. Actually, over 40% of our youth right now that we have out of that 21,000 are scholarshiped. So we want to serve everyone, and we want to have an inclusive design. Our second level of our ladder is that we want to make sure that we have the safety. We want to make sure our physical spaces are safe and they're great environments for youth to grow in. We want to make sure that they're staffed by caring adults, that one, not only provide programs through our program partners and our staff, but also they do mentoring and they build great relationships with the youth. And we also want to have those social and emotional skills because we know this is the time when youth need those most. Our level 3 is our programming. We do free play. We do registered programs to ensure that our youth get the skills that they need. We have organized sports. So right now, Boys and Girls Club has its own sports leagues. We have 6 teams now in our sports league, and we serve in football and cheer, and we serve over 2,000 youth right now. And then we also build those 21st century skills. And then once we get to level 4 is where I feel we really stand out. We have what's called our industry clubs now. So what we do, for example, one of our industry clubs is fashion and design. And what we do is we're in our 5th cohort, and we've taken youth, we've immersed them in the fashion industry. They've worked with industry professionals such as Deviate, which is one of our program partners, and it's a clothing line. Detroit is the New Black. They work with Detroit versus Everybody. And these young people have manufactured, designed, and sold their own clothes. And it's amazing to see the skills that they have. Out of this program, we have like 5 or 6 entrepreneurs now, young people who have their own clothing lines. And they've done fashion shows for Big Sean. They've done fashion shows for the Red Wings. And they created merch for social justice merch 2 years ago for Black History Month, and it sold $10,000 in the first month. And these are high school students. So we want to build that economic mobility, and once they leave our program, their careers start up and homeowner ready. And the key indicators that we have, they'll gain economic capital, cultural capital, social capital, and human capital. So this is how we make that change and affect that change in youth every day. Next slide. So as we move to 2025, we have some goals that we want to achieve through our ecosystem. And as you see, we do this by several ways within our ecosystem. We have our community clubs, which the Eastpointe Club will be, and then we have our program partners, we have our industry clubs, we have our standalone clubs, and we have our sports leagues. So in 2025, we hope to serve 48,000 youth and families in Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, and Washtenaw County. We hope to have 8 school sites, 10 community clubs, 14 industry clubs, 12 maker spaces and co-working spaces, 200 first-time homeowners annually. And that's really important because we want to help these youth be able to build economic wealth and learn about home buying, and the Eastpointe youth will buy homes in the Eastpointe neighborhood. And they'll be able to give back to their neighborhood, which we feel is extremely important. And then we'll have 25 youth employed annually. And by us being right next to the high school, we feel that's really important to provide those positive employment opportunities and industry club opportunities to youth at the high school. And not only do we have fashion design, right now we have esports.
We have data science, we have esports, and we have risk management along with fashion and design. And we're currently looking at data science, urban planning, and development. So these youth are also paid to learn. They go through an interview process, and they're actually paid to learn.
And they make between $10 and $13 an hour. And then there are also other incentives and contests where they can achieve more money. Like the data science, they created their own insurance companies, and they did a Shark Tank type sale, and they were giving real money for their insurance companies.
The top candidate won $1,500, $750, $500, $250.
So we're empowering these teams, these teens, to learn skills and giving them skills where they're employable immediately, and they're working with industry professionals every day. So we feel that's extremely important. Next slide, please. So this is an example of our ecosystem, as I stated. So this is one of our community clubs that's located in the middle of that ecosystem, and that's our Deal Club. And around that club, a 5-mile radius around that club, we've been able to build, we've been able to serve within our organization, 21 youth annually. We've donated $1.8 million we've given back into minority or female-owned businesses. We have our Pony Ride program, which works with small businesses, a small business incubator, which is a small business incubator, and that has served over 51 small businesses. And then we know that we aren't a professional, so in everything. So what we do is we have program partners, and our program partners are groups that they do STEM and STEAM. They do art. They may do DJ Academy. We bring those program partners in, and we pay them to teach the programs to our students. So we have a DJ Academy, and we have a company that teaches DJ Academy, and right now we have 3 graduates who are professionally DJing and have learned that skill, and they're making money on their own. So, we're excited about that. So that's how our ecosystems work with our program partners. Next slide, please. So where we are now, like I said, we really work hard when we look to come into a community to make sure that the community wants us and needs us in their community. So we have 25 letters of support from residents, business owners, community partners that said that they want us in the community. So we were excited about that, and that's where our journey started a year ago. Mayor Owens, Superintendent McLeod, and Diane Banks from Advancing Macomb have been our champions in moving this effort forward. Like I said, Mayor Owens is the chair of the advisory council, and she's recruiting advisory council members, and she has a couple already who have agreed to join the team. Our community support, of course, the Eastpointe School District, we definitely have all Ryan's work. We definitely have appreciated it. The city of Eastpointe, local banks, and local pastors in Eastpointe have agreed, and their churches have agreed to get behind us as well. Our local government, the city is behind us, the county, and also Councilman Levin's office. So we're excited. Our guidepost is moving forward, and as Ryan said, it's been a year, but it's been a year of great progress. Next slide, please. So our seeding, our funding, that's the important thing. We have seed funding secured. The United Way is behind us, First State Bank, the city of Eastpointe, Advancing, Macomb Earmark, and the Detroit Red Wings are also behind us. Next slide, please, Ryan. So with our operational readiness, we have, as Ryan said, we worked on the lease agreement and our MOU agreements. We have liability and insurance coverage. We're working and vetting our staffing now, which is extremely important to us. So we're recruiting. We'll have one full-time club director, and then that person will oversee the site. We'll have one program director, one administrative assistant, and then 5 part-time youth development staff that will work with the youth on a 1 to 20 staff to member ratio. We've also worked with the school district with Ryan on some building readiness, painting and moving equipment. We are excited that our Eastpointe Club was chosen as one of the recipients of the esports lounges by the Detroit Red Wings. And this also will be able to move our industry club and get youth in our esports industry club by the end of the summer when the space is built out. So this is, and it's not like just computers. It's state of the art. I went and benchmarked a esports lab in Houston, and it was a for-profit lab, and they want to come visit our lab so they can benchmark our lab because ours is a lot better. So we're excited about that. And then we'll also, the second floor of the alternative school will be used for Pony Ride, which is a small business incubator. So if you go to the next slide, Ryan, these are renderings of one of our esports labs in our Detroit clubs and our Farber Martin club. And as you can see, the lab is world-class and really state-of-the-art. The Red Wings have really leaned in and made this experience wonderful for our youth, and not only with the esports lab, but teaching them about hockey, getting them down to LCA, and there have been several opportunities. Our youth actually did the Red Wings youth takeover. So our youth were the announcers, they were the interviewers, they were the hosts at LCA, and it was an amazing experience. But it also, with our industry club, teaches our youth, our teens, not only they love video games and they play them, but how to design them, and also how to manage a professional team, because they learn how to manage a team just like they would the Red Wings. So we're excited about that. Next slide. So we hope and we plan to launch our summer program with your blessing June 27th, and that will be Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then our school year program will begin September 6th, and that will be a Monday through Friday, 2:30 to 7 p.m. program. Our program offering some will be entrepreneur and industry club. As I stated, academic and educational enrichment. We're big on summer on the learning loss, and we're trying to do everything we can to keep our youth up to speed. Health and fitness, sports, arts, and we also have our Pony Ride Incubator and other programs. Some of the pop-up programs that we've already done to create our footprint in Eastpointe. This past summer, we partnered with the Detroit Pistons, and we sponsored a week-long basketball camp at Eastpointe High School. This was an amazing experience for the Eastpointe youth. And like I said, once again, I get excited because I have several family members that stay at Eastpointe as well, so they were excited. The Pistons came in with coaches and and they ran a week-long clinic, and so the kids got basketball skills between 9 and 12. We fed them lunch, and then between 12 and 3, they participated in STEM and STEAM activities and also gaming, esports activities. So the youth had a great time. We've also continued to keep our footprint at Eastpointe to build relationships, because we know that's the important thing. We have to build a relationship with the community. So to build relationships, we've done 6 pop-up camps since October of 2021, and they've averaged 35 youth, and we've had everything from we have a magician he's into STEM, but he creates ice cream. And the kids just love him. They love him. So we had him. We've had dance and aerobics, sports. We had several different programs, and we've averaged 35 to 40 youth in those camps. So we're excited about that. Next slide. So I just put this in for your review. So this is what a full day looks like at the Boys and Girls Club. So this summer, if a youth comes in at 8 o'clock, they'll get breakfast, they'll start activities, and we go all the way to 6. So this is just a sample of what a full day looks like at the Boys and Girls Club. So it's very structured activities, but it's also fun at the same time. So next slide.
You know, before you come off of this, I think this is probably a good point to talk a little bit, and I don't know, Mrs. Gibson, you can jump in at any point, but part of what we're really excited about is, as you see this summer daily program, is the possibility that our students who are a part of our district program will also be able to utilize and step in. So after they're at, say, our summer school program, they can move over and enjoy, you know, a full day, really, of additional activities beyond that. So it's not just this running, you know, what I want to kind of paint for the board and the community is the partnership and the way in which we'll hopefully be able to integrate our school offerings with the offerings that are happening in the club here in Eastpointe, because I think our students will absolutely, you know, take advantage of those things. We've seen that as our summer school offerings have expanded, that there's an excitement and a lot of energy around that. If you add in the Boys and Girls Club along with that, I think it really starts to fill out really an entire day of opportunity for our kids from really early in the morning through all the way until dinner. So.
And we're extremely excited about that, and that's what we want to bring to the community is a partnership, and and that's our motto. So when youth are in school for summer school and those summer activities, once they get out, we provide the after activities and make sure they're safe, make sure they're having fun, make sure they're fed, and that they have a full day, and they have something positive and safe to do. So we're excited about that. So I'll turn it over to Rod, and Rod's going to discuss the MOU and walk through those.
Yeah, I'm going to touch it at a high level. You did a great job of covering. We're trying to put together the agreements to do that, basically. So we have 2 agreements. The framework is we have 2 agreements. The facilities lease agreement is the agreement that gives us the space and the place, the safe environment to conduct all these activities. The MOU defines the basis of the relationship, what a win-win looks like, which is all the things that we talked about there. So from a lease facilities agreement standpoint, we said let's pilot this thing for a year, right? And then based on the outcomes, the metrics that we're saying we want to achieve, we establish collectively together, let's look at a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year renewal. We have sustainable funding in the pipeline, right? So it's really a matter of how, I always say, I like working with the willing, right? How effectively we are working together as a team to achieve the collective outcomes that we're shooting for. The MOU defines the roles and responsibility for Boys and Girls Club, which is really to work with you in partnership to achieve the academic and enrichment outcomes, the social emotional outcomes. Our goal is high quality out of school time after program, right? That aligns and augments your strategic plan, direction and priorities as a school district, right? From your perspective, what we're really looking is that cooperative relationship. How do we do that in the most effective way, right? What are the metrics and measures and things we have to look at to ensure that we're creating this safe learning environment and we're facilitating the growth and development that's necessary in order to go forward. Then we take care of the basic stuff. Everybody's covered from the board, The staff, everybody's covered from an insurance and indemnification standpoint. We have $1 million coverage for each incident, up to $3 million. We would share in terms of publicity, respecting the brands and the logos, that we only put things forward from a marketing and a publicity standpoint that are consistent with the goals and objectives of the school districts and Boys and Girls Club together. What we're really looking for is a cooperative relationship, a highly partner-driven cooperative relationship. The agreements that we provided to you are our best ideas around making that happen. We receive feedback and input from your legal team, so we tried to capture that. Any adjustments that we need to make, we can do that too. So, but the idea is, you know, you define the win-win up front, right? You don't wait till the tail end and say, okay, we thought we were going to do this. No, we're defining that right up front in the agreement. It should be comprehensive and all-inclusive. From a facility standpoint, we're really looking at a negligible monthly fee, but we will be covering the utilities, the custodial and janitorial services for the facility. And any, really when we talk about fit-up, it's not major, but any type of fit-up costs, we would bear the cost to do that. I think we're coordinating on some minor maintenance and things that are going on right now. We need 24-hour access. Primarily, we'll be operating during the day, but because we're running the entire facility, we may need to get in there on a Saturday or Sunday in the afternoon. Then when we talk about the business incubators, sometimes they need to get in building beyond the normal hours too. So that's why we need the 24-hour access. So, and I'm going to pause right there and receive any questions or we both can receive any questions you may have around our partnership.
No, I just got one question. You mentioned build-out earlier. Am I correct? What would you be building out, and how, from a percentage standpoint, how much would you be building out in the facility?
Can I take that? We're real, oh, excuse me, I'm a walker, I'm sorry. We toured the facility. There were some minor things like taking boards and things off the wall. There are some outlets that we might have to adjust. When we do this esports room, there'll be a little bit of fit-up work in terms of cabinetry and things like you can see. Pretty much the ones we built out, they look like that. So it's not major tearing down walls or anything like that. I call it more like fit-up is the way I look at it.
Thank you.
Does that? Okay. Okay, thank you.
I have a question. For the percentage of the Boys and Girls Club, you said about 40% are
Scholarship.
scholarship. How do you go about obtaining a scholarship if you're a student?
Well, when students sign up,
Come on.
when students sign up, their parents have to go through what's called an orientation. So the parent just meets with the club director, and they have a conversation, and that club director has the autonomy to give as many scholarships as needed.
And you said on a regular basis, $50 a year, or?
Yes.
Remember our I don't know if our theory had changed. The first level is really removing barriers to participation. Right? So when they have access to social emotional safe learning environment. They have that safe environment, but they have access to tools and technology and things like that for at the highest $50. Otherwise, it's free. And that doesn't include a lot of other events and activity. We are heavy on the partnerships with the sports team, entertainment industry, and those areas.
So how do you go about choosing, this is the second question, how do you go about choosing the people who you allow to come in to present entrepreneurial ideas to the students?
Well, there's a couple ways. They're part of our industry club, what's called program partners. So they're vetted, background checked, all of that good stuff. They work hand in hand with our industry clubs to provide those programs. And then we also have as community partners. So if you had an organization and you wanted to come speak to the youth, you just speak with our club director. We handle all the necessary paperwork, and then they're able to come in, as long as they're on topic and they go with what we're presenting in the program, they're able to come in as well. But Go ahead, Rob.
Now, then additionally, earlier on, we kind of looked at those industries that were going to be in high demand. Hospitality, fashion and design, light manufacturing, computer systems, IT. So, and then when we look at an industry club, we're looking at the entire value chain, right? So we're looking at everything from ideation to planning, development to operations, and even, I'm going to generalize, sales, service, and support. So when these kids, as he talked about, they were involved in the ideation phase. They took those ideas and brought them to design. Then they worked with Deviate. They actually produced them. They actually sold their design, right? Then they put it in the store and they managed it. So we cover, when we talk about these industries, we're talking about the full value chain. And it touches on key areas that the state has identified were important to workforce development. And entrepreneurs are fundamental to a city's economic development, so we're cultivating that. So when we say when kids leave, they're going to be startup, right, homeowner ready, and career ready. And that's because they will have done it 5 or 6 times. I have kids in our data science program. They created a business already. Now we're doing urban planning. They're doing research and development. They're developing their hypotheses, defending, and advocating for policies. That's just one cohort. Now they're into another one. So by the time they finish, they're demonstrating this self-efficacy that we talk about in those 21st century skills.
I got one more. You talked about paying the children for the summer program. Well, can you explain that full process? Are they just work and get paid, or there's something else?
The students the high school students that participated in the industry club, they actually go through an interview process. So they basically are hired, and they receive, what was it?
Between $10 and $13.
$10 and $13 an hour for coming to class and actively participating in the program. That goes on for now 12 weeks, right? And then they can enter another program. Is that?
No, I just want to know the process.
Okay.
It sounds like something that Detroit is doing.
No, it's different because.
It's kind of different.
Yeah, because we treat this as it's not as far as summer employment, we treat this as a real, like a job. So their interview process, the resume process, and then they're actually engulfed in that industry.
So they're learning a whole.
Yes, this is really project-based experiential learning, make it a real difference. Like the urban planning we're doing now, we picked 2 communities that we're focused on around our clubs, which is the Cody Rouge community, and then there's a Warrendale community. So they're actually learning about research, how to collect data, how to clean data, and then how to analyze that data to get insight that would drive policies and practices and investments. And then it's like, what does that mean from an economic development standpoint, community development? So those are, now, like you said, we do this all year round, right? We capitalize on the Grow Detroit Young Talent dollars, so we leverage some of those dollars as a funding resource to support the program.
Thank you.
I just have one, so from the way it sounds, what do you mean we limit the number of kids involved in this, building facility itself? That would be a nice idea.
Yes.
Yes, yes, it would.
Yeah, that would be a great headache.
We have some targets.
Is that what we're saying, basically, you feel you could have enough resources and whatnot to, whatever the building holds to be able to.
Yes.
Based on the program. Yeah.
And I think it's, just as a growth point, it's important to note that we also have some additional space that could expand beyond just that building in various locations. If necessary down the road, we can look so that that building doesn't become a limiting factor.
Right.
Thank you.
Any other?
Oh, sorry, next step.
Oh, no, you're good.
This has been going so
Didn't think
great.
we were done there, yeah?
So, our next steps will be, direction to approval of of you all, the Eastpointe Community Schools Board. And then we'll refine and execute the documents. We'll continue with advocacy and fundraising and support awareness of the club coming in the summer. And then, like I said, we're working on recruiting staff as well. And if you have, we're all about partnerships and building. So Ryan, if you have people who you feel may be, teachers who may be looking for some summer work or things like that, we'll forward the paperwork to you. And if they're looking for some extra work in the summer, we always look to partner with people that the kids know as well.
See, we were thinking the other way around. If you have any teachers, certified teachers you want to send our way, that would be great. I'll get you that paperwork before he leaves.
It sounds good. But we just think this is going to be an excellent partnership. Like I said, I'm definitely excited. Being a resident, I've been a resident for 7 years. So this is something that, I'm passionate about, I'm extremely excited about, and my daughter is extremely excited about. So thank you, and I'll leave Rob with the last words.
No, we're excited about this. We look forward to the partnership and working with you, for the health and well-being of the kids in the community. Thank you. Thank you, Joe.
I'll just wrap up if it's okay, because I appreciate, Mr. Kyles, your presentation tonight. I think it's super important to be able to, some of this might be a repeat for some of the board members because we kind of talked about much of this previously, but I think it's also important given how far we've come and the fact that you've done these pop-ups where, you rented the building for basically an afternoon or an evening or whatever, and there was interest that has continued to build around these various pop-up programs. And of course, both of you, Mr. Brown, you too, I appreciate our ability to kind of work through the agreements, because initially I think one of our thoughts was that this was just simply someone that wanted to lease space in one of our buildings. And what I appreciate about the agreement, the MOU, and I think what the board can see as they review that, is that this is really not just about fun programs. It's not just about kids showing up and playing basketball in the gym space there. This is really about shared goals that you have that align really well with the district goals. And I know this board has been really strongly focused on parental involvement and community involvement. And this aligns perfectly with that piece. And I think when you look at how well connected Boys and Girls Club is with industry, with the communities that you serve, the fact that even your process, where we've had meetings along the way. I had some concerns early on that had to do with whether or not the community would actually come out and be supportive, because we have run some of our own programs and not seen a lot of participation. But to see that kind of build over time is exciting. To see the ongoing sustainable funding from various partners, I think, is super exciting. And as we've talked more and as we've looked at the MOU and talked more in our engagements about the possibilities of this partnership, it's super exciting to imagine that it's not just a program running in an empty space that we have. This is actually going to be a partnership that is focused on many of the same goals that we have. And I think we're going to come up and grow new ideas that are probably going to be precedent-setting in some of your other clubs, because and especially as I'm retiring, I know Mrs. Gibson has a lot of different ideas about potentially even during the school day offerings where students can come and be a part of these programs and earn high school credit, for example, for participation in some of these various programs. So I think that's a conversation for another day, but I appreciate you guys coming and sharing again today. I thank you for your partnership and engagement as we've continued. And if the board does not have any additional questions, I'll transition to my last couple announcements. We do have a Eastpointe High School art show is coming up next week. Monday, May 16th from 3 to 5 p.m. at the high school. If you're interested in going and seeing some of our student artwork, we encourage you to come and be a part of that. Also, we just received some information. There's going to be a spaghetti fundraiser that is going to be done for Keith Ward and his family. Keith is a board member of ours, and as I've shared previously with the community, Keith has had, he was recently diagnosed with cancer that was pretty devastating news to him and his family. And so this fundraiser is going to be Tuesday, May 24th, from 4 to 9 p.m. at the Firehouse Pub in St. Clair Shores. And I think it's $20 as the suggested donation to be a part of that. But they're also looking for anyone in the community or anyone that has an interest in helping to build, what are they called, raffle baskets. That's it. So a basket of anything that could be put together that could be used for raffle purposes. If there's business owners or anyone else that would like to put something like that together for this event, you can reach out. Probably Wendy can connect you with the people. So if you call the superintendent's office, we can put you in connection with the people that can hopefully turn that raffle basket into a nice donation for the family to help them take care of the health care bills. So with that, Mr. President, that concludes my, my report this evening, and thank you again to both of you. And actually, to our principals also, if you guys need to sneak out, you are welcome to do that. I know our principals had started early today, so you're welcome. You don't have to stay for the whole meeting, but you're certainly welcome to. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
It's a Tuesday.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the ESSER 3 funds, public hearing.
Good evening. So this is one of our periodic updates of how the district plans to use ESSER funds, which is the result of the COVID funding from the federal government to help school districts recover, their students recover from their learning loss. So we had a meeting in January where we introduced our initial budget. We had an update in February, and this will be our third update. We plan to do these approximately quarterly, or perhaps more often if we have an amendment to the actual budget that we submit to Michigan Department of Education. So just to recap a few things before I get into the new information, there was a community survey done where we laid out the allowable uses of the funds, and our community had input on how that would be prioritized. And the priorities are basically, learning loss, improvement of facilities, and indoor air quality. I want to flip a couple more forward. Sorry. One more forward. So the survey, so they had one is the most important, so improving indoor air quality, social emotional support. So those are the way our community ranked some of the items that we presented. And this is our initial budget that we submit to the state. So you see on the left-hand side, these are just estimated dollar amounts because we kind of did this ahead of time before we had any quotes or pricing from bids. So we were awarded $18 million, and so far we have roughly $12 million that we have identified to spend. So we're continuing to meet as a district to identify what the remaining $6 million will be. We have till the end of 24 to spend, September 2024 to spend this money. Next slide, please. That just covered that, one more. So all this information for the community is available on our district's website. If you go to our homepage and then under school improvements, it'll list how we're spending the ESSER 3 money and how we're spending the sinking fund money. And then the actual projects that we have coming up this summer. One more forward, please. We have work done at our 4 elementary buildings and our early learning center. The actual quotes, we put the request for proposals out probably in mid-February, March. And the bids are back and have been analyzed and awarded at the last board meeting. And those costs are approximately $3.1 million. And what will be involved is like the replacement of all the asbestos floor tile in the classrooms of these buildings. And then the student bathrooms will be renovated also. And then the next thing that we have planned, we have to spend 20% of our funds on learning loss. And some of the items that are eligible would be new classroom furniture throughout the district. I think some of our buildings have the original furniture like our elementaries, when those buildings were first put in operation. So some of that furniture is probably 50 years old. And I don't know the exact number yet, but just as a placeholder, I'm using 500,000. And then we've been exploring ways to improve the skills of our staff and keep teaching staff in the district. And one way to do that is through a tuition assistance program. So we're in the initial planning stages of that, and we'll be coming back to the board at some point in the future to explain to the board and ask for your approval if we decide to go down that route. So, and this is also an opportunity for the public to comment on the use of these funds, if they feel it's appropriate or not, or express what direction they would like to see us to go. So that's what the public hearing component of this agenda item is for. So, do we have any questions?
No, yeah, is there any questions from the board? And this is a time where anybody out here could actually ask a
Yep.
question as well, too. Is there anybody out here? Any visitors you'd like to ask questions about? Feel free.
I just wanted to add that it's a long timeline to get HVAC work done, so our architects and engineers are actually doing that planning for summer of '23 work right now. And we anticipate those bids going out probably September, October, just because of the lead time on equipment and having contractors, hold the place for us. We want to be early so that, we can spend this money in a designated time frame.
Will that time frame mess with our expiration date? I know it's hard to get
Yeah,
equipment.
well,
and
no,
stuff,
we are planning it out so that it's used before the expiration date.
so that doesn't mean that the work necessarily has to be completed by 2024, but just in the process.
No, the money has to be actually spent by December 30th of '24, and all the POs have to be written, I think, by September 30 of '23.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that's going to be tricky to help people understand as we move through the next few years here is there is going to be a coordination really between these funds and our district funds, because it's possible that we may have projects we want to do under this, but they may not end up being able to be done in time to actually use this money. And so we're trying our best to do a coordination of various funds. And I think, some of it we'll be able to probably spend most of it and one of the key pieces about it, the investments we're trying to make with this money, because it is one-time money, is we're trying to invest it in ways that we will get a return on this investment for many, many years to come. And so, I think the libraries, just as an example, is just one really great example of doing an upgrade in our library spaces. The kids will be able to access that and those materials and be in that space, that upgraded space for, decades. And most of those spaces have not been updated, and including some of the materials. We still have materials probably that are original to some of those buildings also. So it's, trying to kind of upgrade that and honestly to give, to give our students an experience that we know they deserve, and that, that had we not faced the deficit, we may have been able to put additional money into some of those areas. So in some ways, we're catching up in a way on some of these things that we know we've needed to do to really address things like the learning loss and to provide these amazing opportunities for our kids that, they deserve them just like anyone else in any other community. So.
Then my comment or question, I guess you could say, is it's safe to say that the ESSER funds are basically like a use it or lose it, but sinking funds are not.
Right. Sinking funds you can
Sinking
carry
funds,
over.
I mean, if we put them on the back burner and try to utilize this as much as possible, that definitely is the best strategy to use.
Yes.
Because the sinking fund doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
But if we don't utilize this by December 30th, I think you said of '24, And actually, you said the PO's got to be out for, so timeline, if you're putting out POs or you're getting quotes and accepting bids this September for next summer's work, I would assume that next year would be very similar type of thing.
Next year would be probably at least double this
Probably to
amount,
have them
right.
all done by September so that you can have 2024's work all lined.
Right. So there's another strategy we could employ if we think we're not going to be able to spend the monies. This money is different from Title I and other grants where you're not allowed to replace services that you normally would. They call it supplant. So this we can actually use to pay for our everyday services, some of this money. And if we did that, we could set the savings aside, like in a capital projects fund, and spend it in future years, maybe as the prices come down from the trades and supplies are more available. So that is something we're keeping in mind. And for instance, if the price is just coming outrageous next summer, we may want to do something like that. We'll just offset it with salaries, from our various buildings and put the money aside in capital projects fund to use dollar for dollar. So it's an option for us. Yeah.
So any other questions? Mr. Delavetti?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have hearing of the public. Does anyone wish to be heard? Yes, sir. State your name, and you've got 3 minutes.
John D. Hunt. I have to say, following the guys from the Boys Club is kind of like the backup singer following Frank Sinatra. So that is a very good plan that I was happy to see. I just kind of wish that they would have called Dr. McLeod by his proper prefix, doctor, as opposed to just Ryan McLeod, but that's, semantics. You all are aware of a letter that I had sent in that I had asked to be read into the record and was not. I am not going to belabor that point. I am going to say one thing specific to that letter. Please do not assume that just because people aren't flooding this place with their presence does not mean that we do not watch, we do not listen, we do not read the newspaper. We do. I don't have any children in this district, but I have been paying taxes for a long time. Our school systems are a very integral part of property values in most communities. And let's face it, the school system hasn't been doing a whole lot for my property value. So please do not assume that we don't have the right to be upset, to say something that isn't positive. Social media is a horrible thing because you can get misinformation out there, you can get accurate information out there. You have to have the presence of mind to sift through it all and find the truth. And the truth is typically black and white. So that being said, as horrible as it is also probably one of the greatest gifts to society right now. Because if we had had social media better than 25 years ago, when that god-awful bond scandal destroyed this system, it would not have happened. People would have talked, and they always talk. People talk. You might try and put a clamp on it. You might say you got to keep your mouth shut. People always talk. And had we had social media back then, there would be no bond scandal. Bill Hudson would have been outed. The people on the board that went to jail, everything would have come out. It wouldn't have happened. Or it would have been cleaned up very quickly. So please, don't assume that people aren't watching every step you're all making. Some of us are getting a little upset. Now, I will say, I had sent an email to Dr. McLeod, and it probably raised his blood pressure level a little bit, but my emails tend to do that to some people. And I had voiced some concerns about the violence in the high school. You'll be happy to know that today I asked a young lady that goes to the high school, how are things in the high school today? She said they're not bad, they're a little bit better. She said they're not great, but they're a little bit better. So I'm going to take that as a positive, and I hope that our new principals can continue to build off of that, because I really don't want to have to see newspaper articles about police being rushed to the high school for whatever reason. It's bad enough we have the Boom Boom Room having shootings 2 nights in a row. So please, I'm just asking you all to do your best and know that everybody's watching, everybody's words are important, everybody has an opinion. You might not like to hear it, but everybody has an opinion, and it's your job to listen. So, that's all I have to say. No major diatribe. Thank you all for what you do, but keep doing better.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else wish to be heard? Anyone else wish to be heard? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing to the public at 7:31. Start with trustees' announcements. And since Mr. Roscoe gave me no choice at the last meeting, but to start at the other, I want to start at his end.
I'm just saying it right. Congratulations to the assistant superintendent, Stephanie Flemings, and also Principal Jones. Congratulations. And would like to extend a hearty thank you to the EDF for the scholarship program. Thank you so much for that, because it's important. And it's only for the children, it's for the community as well as administration and everybody collectively as a whole, and all the stakeholders, and we just appreciate that when we can move our children forward instead of making them stagnated in their demise, because it's rough out there. It's rough for them to try to create, to be just to think about what they're going to do next with all the mayhem that's going out there and social media. So we just want to say thank you. And parents, continue, or we want to see you live. Come and share with us. Come and talk with us so we can collectively do something together, because at the end of the day, we are all in this together. And that's all I'll say.
Thank you. Mr. Vita.
Just want to say congrats to all the new hires, and to Ms. Fleming and Ms. Jones, congratulations. And Stephanie, I've been waiting for this time to come, so it finally has. And a great presentation with the Boys and Girls Club. Very excited over that. And also thank you to the EDFT and the Scholarship Committee. Thank you. That's super, super nice. And I know it's been going on for zillions of years, it feels like. I mean, I was in school and it was going on. So yeah, kudos to everyone there, and even Ms. Gibson for helping with all that too. And just, all staff, just keep up the good work, and, give yourselves a pat on the back, like I always say, and kudos, and even all the students. No matter how difficult it is, we keep trucking along, and we try to do our best to be the most positive we could do that day. So keep going. That's all.
Ms. Rayford.
Oh, thank you. First of all, I want to thank Chris Cowles and his team for coming out to do their presentation for the Boys and Girls Club. I've heard a lot about it. I've been looking forward to it. And Ms. Fleming and Ms. Jones, if you don't mind, before you leave, I'd like to make appointments to come visit with both of you. Hopefully not same day, same time, but before school is out this year. Thank you. I also have some other new hires that I'm really glad to know. We are constantly trying to get new people in to the district. And for the East Detroit Federation of Education Scholarship Fund, I'm sure teachers will appreciate having some additional funds to work with. I still encourage every parent, every community member, every business to get involved with the school district. If this is a partnership, as stated in our mission, our stakeholders are important, every single one of them. Parents, students, everyone. We cannot do our job effectively or efficiently if we don't know what's needed. So we need people to tell us what we're doing wrong and offer some suggestions as to how we can get it right. That's how partnerships work. It's not about envy or doubt or anything like that. It's about how can we work together to make it work. And I think that's extremely important. Unfortunately, there's so many rumors flying around. And it seems that we don't want to hear the truth. I live speaking truth. Most people don't want to hear truth because it's not always nice. I really want everyone to consider how we treat the community, the students, everyone. And as I've said before, I have so much respect and admiration for teachers, having been one. I know how difficult that job is. And I would not, for any amount of money, attempt to interfere with your ability to do your job. That's not the way I see the role of teaching. I know how hard it is to begin with. So I appreciate everything you do, and Mr. DeHunt for coming out tonight. I hope that we can encourage others to come out and do the same. One day, maybe we'll all be in a position where we can all get together and have a party and say, amen, we're done. Thank you.
Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, board and community for allowing me to be a trustee. And I'd just like to say thank you for the donation and the presentation. Mr. Lincoln, thank you for coming out and sharing your information with us. And Chris Kyle and Roger Brown, great presentation about the Boys and Girls Club. I think that's a very great addition to the community as well as to the school district. I like the fact that they say, or they envision showing the kids how to actually become homeowners in their own community, which will in turn build the community. And that's what in my opinion will create a stronger school district as well as a community. So that's a good thing. Congratulations to all the new hires. Congratulations to Ms. Jones for your appointment as principal. And Ms. Fleming, congratulations. It's good to see you all. And Mr. Hunt, thank you for coming out and speaking to us. Everything that you hear and everything that you see, it's not necessarily how it is, but like you said, everybody has an opinion, and that's the truth. But we, as a board, for the most part, we get along great. We try to work together collectively to keep a peaceful, working relationship. And it just makes for a better camaraderie, a better community, and a better board. If we all can work together, we might not always agree, but at the end of the day, we're all up here to do one thing, and that's to support the staff, the students, and our communities. So with that being said, I want to thank you and enjoy the rest of this beautiful sunny day.
Okay, well, I'm not going to beat it up off too much, but to the new hires, I think it's nice to see our administrative team starting to round out and getting prepared for the next year. It's kind of like we're a little bit ahead of the game, kind of like things are kind of flowing fairly smooth, which is nice to see. Then I know we've really been pushing engagement up here. Everybody's brought that word up at one time or another. And I just found it fantastic that tonight we saw one group who's already engaged, the Edf Scholarship Committee, in what they're doing, and another one with the Boys and Girls Club on the verge of being engaged fully in the district as well, too. The more the merrier. Let's just keep that flowing. Let's just keep it going. And then finally, geez, Lincoln Stocks, you broke out that motorcycle, didn't you? So I think it's time for me to go ahead and make my annual reminder to everybody that the days are getting longer. The days are much nicer. Finally, I think I can say this safely. The kids are going to be playing out a bit more. So kids, when you're outside playing, please watch for the vehicles traveling through the residential neighborhoods and on the main streets and whatnot. Sometimes it's hard to see you. So make sure that you are well seen. And to the drivers out there in the vehicles, please be careful because the kids will be out there. And we want everybody to be safe. That being said, meeting adjourned at 7:42.